It's the 12th anniversary celebration at the Pahrump Nuggets Saturday, March 23rd. Join us and receive a free anniversary shirt when you earn 25 base points. We'll have free cake and champagne from 5 to 6 p.m. Come get your game on at the Pahrump Nugget Hotel and Casino.
Welcome back to News 46. The Nevada sheriffs have come together asking for background checks, laws to be changed, and training to be enforced regarding gun ownership laws. They're also asking that certain gun laws stay the same and that law-abiding citizens keep their Second Amendment rights. A letter signed by all the sheriffs in the state will be sent to Washington in support for these rights and ask for the government to hear from those who have the most valuable knowledge from their experience on the streets, law enforcement.
We want to make sure that the citizens of Knight County and not only Knight County, which I represent, but also the state of Nevada, are aware that the sheriffs support the Second Amendment. And we felt that was very important for us to write that letter to our constituents. I put on our website, knightsheriff.net, the letter, and it's signed by all the sheriffs, all 17 sheriffs of Nevada, and basically saying that we represent them, we support the Second Amendment, and we're actually asking for the legislatures not to just look at guns, but because that is a tool that, of course, people use for violence, but actually look at violence itself. As you're aware, is not only the citizens of our state and across the country are victims of violence, so are law enforcement. And we get in the same situations where domestics and so on and so forth, where we're subject to the violence as much as anybody else. We have ways of protecting ourselves, unfortunately, at times, and you can tell that we have lost people here in Knight County, but also across the country and in the state of Nevada as well, to the same violence as we're losing citizens to. So it's basically supporting the Second Amendment, giving the constituents our position. The letter is going to be sent to our local representatives in the state of Nevada, the state representatives, but it's also going to be sent to the federal representatives, including the office of the president as well.
You also ask for a change in HIPAA laws so that they can have background checks on people who possibly have a record of mental illness.
That's correct. Remember, in Virginia Tech, if the information was shared that was known about this individual's mental status, is that he wouldn't have been able to purchase the guns that he purchased and committed the acts of violence on Virginia Tech. The problem is that everybody's looking at assault weapons. First of all, assault weapons have been outlawed in the United States in the 1980s. You can't own one unless you go through a whole bunch of process with the ATF. And what they're looking at is semi-automatic weapons. And in fact, it was a show, Living for 32, which is, the gentleman's courageous. He's a survivor of the Virginia Tech shooting. And there's a part in there where a NYPD officer basically, and I'm typing on a computer, he's talking about this assault weapon that was used, and only police in the military should have this assault weapon. And what he was talking about was that, because I had to actually wind that back to know what he was talking about, because I knew that, from my understanding, there's only two handguns we use. One is a 22, one was a 9mm. And basically, he was saying that the Glock is an assault weapon that only should be in the hands of the military and the police. And unfortunately, that's the mentality that people look at. They're not looking at the assault weapons are illegal. They're military weapons, all military weapons, and what they're looking at as semi-automatic rifles, basically, they're declaring assault weapons. They're clearly not assault weapons. I know they're talking about magazine capacity, and if you look at any of the shootings that we've had, is that these perpetrators actually bring more than one weapon to the site because they understand there's going to be magazine change. They're very much aware, and these are things that are planned out in the future, not something that's instantaneous. So we're just trying to represent to our citizens and to the federal representatives that we understand violence. You outlaw these weapons only to, and we actually say it in our letter, only the criminals will have, outlaws will have weapons. But the fact of the matter is we support, and the Second Amendment should be supported. The Second Amendment should be protected by our legislature, and we as the sheriffs will protect the Second Amendment on behalf of our citizens as well.
And continuing with that story, Sheriff Tony DeMeo signed a letter along with all of the Nevada sheriffs supporting the Second Amendment and asking for continued background checks and training for those who like to purchase a gun. You
get trained for a car, you should have some training for a weapon. Not everybody, everybody thinks they can pull a trigger. 5-year-olds can pull a trigger. And in fact, there was a 5-year-old back in New York that took a Tech 9 from underneath a bed, and he actually, there was a magazine, knew what the magazine was, put a magazine into the weapon, chambered the weapon, is able firing outside of things. So anybody can fire that, but responsibly. Knowing about what the laws are, making sure you stand on good ground when you use your weapon. You can stand on solid ground. We talk about they talk about gun safety. You talk about making sure the weapon's not accessible to people that shouldn't actually have the weapon. And the background checks is a very important part of it. There's people out there that should not have weapons. They go by the back door and get these weapons, and they're totally, if they went to a representative, a legal gun seller, someone that actually had a federal firearm license, they wouldn't have these weapons. And these weapons are falling, unfortunately, into the hands of individuals that are out there committing crimes. Average Jane and John Q. Public will want to obey the laws, and don't have a problem with that. Anybody has a CCW goes through a background check anyway. Yeah.
Do you think that the HIPAA laws is going to be the one that is the big hurdle?
We believe so. I mean, it's everybody's going to try to protect medical records. And basically, the HIPAA law was in place so people wouldn't be discriminated against medical coverage. And again, the HIPAA laws is one of those laws that's interpreted by so many people. There's like thousands of interpretations of HIPAA law, and no one knows what ground they're standing on, really, when you think about it. And so that's going to be up to the legislature to look at that and kind of fine tune that and give us an idea of exactly what the HIPAA law is protecting. But they shouldn't be protecting somebody who has mental illness that shouldn't have a weapon, and unfortunately have them. If you look at all the cases, in the recent cases with the shootings, these individuals had a mental health issue that was being dealt with under the care of a mental health care specialist, and they were able to carry out their acts of violence, and they actually had possessions of the weapons. So I think that, and one of the things is I can't understand is where people believe, and like when they to cast stones, where they believe that someone has a mental health issue, is the best thing to do in order to relieve the stress is take them out shooting. And I saw that on one thing. Motorcycle club had this guy had a mental health issue, and they decided, well, we're going to take you out and teach you and take you to a firing range and you go shooting. I mean, it's not necessary. People have mental health issues to find other ways of dealing with that. Not necessary, in that respect. They should actually see a mental health professional and deal with those issues professionally, and not basically by some friends thinking that this is going to cure them or treat them. It's not. It's really isn't. They need to be in the hands of someone that's more competent than that.
And our third part in that series, we speak to Sheriff Tony DeMeo, who concludes his conversation regarding the Nevada Sheriff's letter.
Basically, we were, the concern that the citizens have. I mean, people looking at what's going on in Washington, D.C., and what's even going on in the state of Nevada, and they're troubled by what they see. And they want some assurance. And basically, I've been getting emails, and so have other sheriffs, as far as where we stand. And I didn't send a letter out. If someone asked me individually where you stand, I gave them my position. Yeah. I know there's a sheriff in Nevada that did that, but we don't know what's going to come out of Washington. Yeah. We really don't. And we want to make sure is that it's better for the sheriffs of Nevada to come together on a consensus to send a letter on behalf of the sheriffs of Nevada stating that this is what we believe in. We understand violence. We're there. We're the first responders to violence. We understand the concerns the citizens have. We understand the concerns that the legislators have. But let's come together. If we're going to deal with this, if we're going to deal with this responsibly, is making sure we deal with it responsibly, not necessarily throwing bills out there saying we're going to limit magazine capacity, or doing things that are not going to change the culture of the violence that's causing the death and injury in America for the innocent people that it's causing. So if they're going to do it, and we're asking them to do it right, and not necessarily just throwing laws out there that are not going to have any impact whatsoever. And that's the concern we have as law enforcement. We out there, we protect and serve. We're the first responders of violence. We're there personally seeing what has happened to these families and the tragedies that occurred to the families and the citizens that we serve. And we're tired of it as well. We lost people in this battle. The citizens have lost families have lost battle. People in this battle for peace and for public safety and for peace in the community. It's about time if the legislature is going to step up to the plate, do it responsibly, not necessarily knee-jerk reaction. Limiting magazine capacities is not going to stop the violence. Outlawing certain types of weapons is not going to take care of the violence as well. But they have to do it responsibly, not necessarily a knee-jerk reaction, which is what we're seeing. I haven't seen anything come out of what I see in Washington or I see in the state legislatures or anything that's going to make a big impact unless they start looking at the root cause of the problems in this country and within our communities. And that's taking a holistic approach to violence in our country.
Assemblyman James Osterson invites the public to get involved in your legislature every Friday at noon in his office located on the Hafen building on Highway 160. You can ask District 36 Assemblyman James Osterson and Senator Pete Goicoechea vital questions that affect your everyday life via telephone conference.
We have a conference call every Friday at noon at our office over there in the Hafen building that we invite people to come and participate and tell us what's going on, what they think about some of the bills that are going through and those other things. Very important that they participate in the process. We include Elko County, myself, Senator Goicoechea, and Assemblyman Ellison are there. We're looking out for the rules and we'd love to invite people to come. We've not had a very good attendance from Pahrump. The other areas we're having great attendance. So
that is important, right? Make sure that people from Pahrump are getting involved in this.
Well, we want them involved, and we're offering that opportunity. We've spent some money on the office over there, and have a really nice speakerphone system over there, and really want them to come and participate in that process, and invite the media. We invite anybody that wants to participate to come and ask us questions. No question is too hard. If we don't know the answer, we'll find it out. Between two of the veteran legislators and myself as a freshman, we have a great opportunity to get information out there.
These are bills that affect people here locally in Pahrump. They should get involved in their legislature.
Well, they should, and we've got rural groups of us, and all three of us are rural representatives and need to hear from the constituents here.
And once again, that's in the Hafen building right there over in your office, I believe Suite 5.
Right, Suite 5, and it's at noon.
We'll have much more local news, including the results of what's going on with Burning Man when we return.